and putting it in the new live video. Shift 3 has begun. We are on board to try this again with better tech, with more internet. With internet that may stay online. Who knows?
We have the technology. We can rebuild the stream.
But we have all of our people together again. Internets are on. YouTube videos are going. It's broadcasting live. We are active. I've got this. I've got the chat pulling up now. Gonna put the donation link in its proper place because that's what you do. This goes here. Hello, everybody. We are here. Yay.
Hello.
And it is time to pick up where we left off with Icky the Magic Clown. And if I go to Safari, it is even worse. And now there's an advertisement because I'm not signed in. Sign in to the wiki so the ads go away and I can actually read the article. Come on, Sherman. You can do it. No, you can't. Every form of technology is against me in this stream, but we will prevail. Have yourself a great rest of the day.
And my dad is back, so I will unfortunately have to leave. Have yourself a very good charity stream, and I hope a lot of donators come by and donate. And I will see you when I see you again, which is probably sometime soon. Also, while you were gone, I actually plugged Site-42, the animated series. I don't know if that came through in the fodder. Progress. Site-19.tumblr.com. There's no nothing. We'll be dropping it.
Lord Bun finally has some competition. Good night, Rura. All right, so Icky the Magic Clown. We are here. We are back. And Herman Fullers. I've got everything I need right here. I can get through the last bit. It'll be weird, but I can survive it. So, Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting. Send in the clowns. Herman Fuller's clown troupe are like none the world has ever seen. They will delight and astound you with their unearthly talents, all led by the beautiful, the magical, the sensational Icky. One day only, 7 p.m. this Sunday at the Western Fairgrounds. One show, one chance. Come one, come all. The following is a page from a publication entitled To the Circus Born, Herman Fuller's Menagerie of Freaks. The identities of neither publisher nor author have been established, and scattered pages have been found inserted into circus-themed books in libraries across the world. The person or persons behind this dissemination are unknown. Icky the Magic Clown. It all started when I found a book on stage magic by a guy named Tobin Hollis. It had about 300 tricks in it, and a few dozen of them were legitimately supernatural. I did a handful of them for a school talent show and won first place easily. That's when I learned I loved performing. Sidebar, tangent, I believe that's an SCP-2. Tobin Hollis' book of 300 tricks, some of which were actually magic. I forget which number it is, but I think I did a reading of that one. Fortunately for me, no one I ever performed for could tell the difference between real magic and expertly executed stage magic. But even in my little town, we had heard rumors about a secret organization that suppressed knowledge of the supernatural, hunting down and locking up anyone or anything that wasn't normal. As if being queer wasn't bad enough, now I had to worry about getting magic bashed. Yeah, I could just not use magic in the same way I could just not love other women. But I decided at a young age I wasn't going to let fear stop me from being who I am. I cut a break when Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting rolled into town. I could tell it was real magic, that the people were magic. It was a community where magic wasn't feared but celebrated. where magic people accepted one another and protected each other. I knew I was home. After asking around a bit, I ended up in the ringmaster's tent. I did an audition for Fuller with both real and stage magic, and I was very impressed that he could tell the difference. A hot teenage magician who already had an act was an easy sell, and I got my own stall in the Hall of Humans Extraordinaire. Herman didn't have much tolerance for insubordination, but so long as you stayed on his good side, life at the circus was pretty decent. Manny always made sure we were all looked after. Unlike Herman, he knew what it was like to be an outcast, to have people hate, slander, disown, beat, exploit, and attack you for no other reason than being different. We really bonded over that, our shared sense of ostracism, the rejection of our own families, and finding solace in the company of fellow freaks. The hall was a good gig, but I dreamed of performing in the big top. Manny took me to the library so I could get some more magic tomes to up my act. But it wasn't enough. That's when I started hanging out with the clowns. Most people think clowns are creepy, if not plain horrifying, upon seeing us up close. But I was awestruck by their supernatural and theatrical talents. To my delight and surprise, some of them thought I showed potential. Eugene and Pius started tutoring me in magic and clowning, and I eventually landed a supporting role in their big top act. That went on for a while, but eventually my progress plateaued. I thought for sure they were going to drop me from the act, but instead they did something that would change my life forever. They offered to turn me into a clown. A real clown, capital C. I had never seriously considered the idea of becoming anything other than a human before, mainly because I didn't know that was possible. But as Tinkles went over the procedure with me, I found it more and more appealing. It wasn't just the magic that appealed to me, but the fact that the clowns always seemed so happy. I tried my best to be happy as a human, but I always felt bad about running away from my parents. I ran because I thought that if they ever found out I liked girls, I would have been disowned or committed to a nut house. But I never gave them a chance. Maybe I shouldn't have assumed the worst. They did love me, and lots of conservative parents become more tolerant after finding out their kid is gay. Maybe they would have too. I'll never know. All I know is that I broke their hearts. I wanted to escape from that, and I wanted to be the best magician I could be, so I became a clown. That caused a bit of a rift between me and Manny. We never really talked about it, but I think he thinks I lost something valuable by losing my heartache? What does that word say? Yeah, by losing my heartache. He and I have slowly reconnected over the years, but he still calls me... What's that behind the word
Veronica.
option? He still calls me Veronica. I'm not embarrassed to have started off as Veronica, but I couldn't be happier to be Icky. Thank you. That was under the red text of the history files and print of mine. The formatting doesn't like iPad.
Oh, of course. That was beautiful. Thank you. I'd never heard that.
I've never seen or heard that article. And also, I'm really glad it came up on the LGBT benefit stream. That was a really good article for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was good. I'm going to +1 that right now because I'm signed in anyways. Yay. All right, back to Chrome. Since it didn't
I need
matter.
to read more of the Dread and Circus's canon.
Yeah, Dread and Circuses got big after I took a hiatus from the wiki, so it's always fun to come back and see what has changed.
Yeah, the only canon I ever got really deep into was the End of Death sequence.
Oh yeah, that took place during the new canon contest, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was just a really beautiful story, really well told by a lot of people.
Alrighty, video details. Cool.
Everything running smoothly?
Everything's running, humming along. We're doing good.
Hoorah.
All right. Any ideas for a next SCP? I've got to pull up my list if we don't.
I don't. I've been trying to find something, but it's hard to find something punchy. You know, there's a lot of real good slow burns and long, lengthy exploration logs.
I am thinking on a good Halloween with creepy and spooky and things like that. I think SCP-2006, known as Too Spooky, is the perfect spooky boy to bring into our show.
Sounds perfect. 2006.
Oh no, I don't want an advertisement. That sounds like a bad idea. Go away. SCP-2006. And maybe he has a tale we can follow it up with if we can find it during the reading, because he has a good tale. All right.
Terrific.
Here we go. Actually, let's say to go to reading. Since I took Icky, do you want to go for this one?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, hit it, man, and I'll join you in interview log.
Thank you. SCP-2006. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2006 is to be contained at Site-118 in an airtight containment cell. SCP-2006 must be constantly monitored for changes in form, which are to be noted immediately. All personnel coming into contact with SCP-2006 are required to enroll in an acting class with a focus on expressing fear and surprise. Every month, SCP-2006 is to be shown at least one new, extremely low-quality horror or science fiction movie containing horror elements. All interaction with SCP-2006 must confirm that SCP-2006 continues to believe that said works demonstrate a superb grasp of horror. Description: SCP-2006 is an anomalous spherical entity, roughly 50 centimeters in diameter when in its default state. SCP-2006's stated goal is to cause feelings of fear and/or horror in as many humans as possible. To accomplish this purpose, SCP-2006 possesses the ability to change its shape, mass, volume, density, chemical structure, and voice to any form that it desires. Currently, there is no known way to damage SCP-2006. The extent of its shape-shifting abilities is unknown and currently thought to be unlimited. Currently, SCP-2006 has demonstrated a fondness for taking the forms of various entities and villains from the various horror and science fiction movies that it has witnessed. The most common form that SCP-2006 has taken is that of Ro-Man from the 1953 movie Robot Monster. SCP-2006 is capable of speaking, even when it possesses the form of an entity that is normally unable to speak. SCP-2006 will generally attempt to startle and/or scare any individual it comes into contact with, but after doing so, will become affable and friendly. The reason behind this is currently unknown. Although SCP-2006 has repeatedly stated its goal of causing as much fear as possible, SCP-2006 is a poor judge of concepts that cause fear in humans and constantly searches for new methods in which to accomplish its goal. Poor recognition extends to recognition of emotions in humans, as SCP-2006 is incapable of distinguishing between subtle differences in emotions that would be obvious to a human. Interview log. Is it okay if I take Dr. Loof?
You certainly can.
Okay. Dr. Loof enters the room. SCP-2006 is seen crouched near the door. SCP-2006 is in its Ro-Man form. 2006 proceeds to leap out of its crouch, throwing its arms into the air.
Fear me, mortal! I am the mighty Ro-Man! Cower in fear!
Oh, please, mighty Ro-Man, don't hurt me.
It's just me, Doc. I got you pretty good, didn't I?
SCP-2006. Oh, dear Lord, you really frightened me there. I was about to have a heart attack.
It's what I do, Doc. Boo! Still got it. So is there something you want to talk about, Doc?
Yes. I was wondering, why exactly do you feel the need to cause fear in others?
I don't understand the question.
That is, why do you scare people?
Oh, that's an easy one. I scare people because it's fun. And you know, it's what I do. Just like you do doctory stuff, I do scary stuff. I'm the best at it. I don't really see what else there is about it.
That you are. I'll take my leave, Len.
Come back around soon. I'll have some really scary stuff next time. By the way, I will eat your soul!
Let me out of here. I'm going to die of fright. Addendum. The current site director for Site-118 has issued the following memorandum regarding SCP-2006. I've been getting reports of some of the lax behavior regarding SCP-2006. Many personnel have been heard laughing at SCP-2006 during surveillance when it watches a new movie or when it attempts to scare individuals. Some personnel have been heard questioning why SCP-2006 is classified as a Keter entity. I am here to remind you that a Keter entity is a Keter entity, regardless of how innocuous it may seem. No, SCP-2006 is not a rampaging demigod, nor is it a regenerating super lizard. However, it possesses the same level of danger as any other Keter that the Foundation has contained. Think of SCP-2006's purpose. It wishes to scare people. Imagine what would happen if SCP-2006 broke containment and found out what really scared people. Imagine if it saw the horror and fear of war, or the concepts of paranoia and phobias common to each and every human being. Imagine if it found the true horror of a nuclear holocaust or an XK-class scenario. Now couple that with an entity that possesses shape-shifting abilities with no known limits, and you'll understand why it's classified as Keter. All personnel mentioned above have been suitably disciplined. I do not want to hear about this again. Dr. Randall Owings, Site-118 Director.
Like that guy. I think he's neat.
That was really great. Sorry I couldn't fully commit to the screams of horror. I've got a roommate down the hall.
That's quite okay. You acted up pretty well with the voice. It worked out well.
Thank you.
Now, 2006 has a really good tale that I like called The Meaning of Fear.
The Meaning of Fear.
And so like we did with 106 and Treats, I think it'd be fun to play with, continue on with this character since we just read him.
Yeah, absolutely.
OC Fandom in the YouTube chat says, SCP-2006 is scary as fuck if it gets loose. I completely agree. And this is an example of that kind of scary. So let's get into the meaning of fear. Let me skim this real quick. So it's a lot of conversation down the way. You and I, we can do the same thing we did where you play the Doctor and I play 2006.
Sure, sounds like a plan.
And and the narration, I'll let you do the narration. I'll just voice 2006. Sound good?
Okay, sure. There's a little bit of dialogue at the beginning that's between the doc and the secretary. I can just take both sides?
Go for it.
Okay, sure. The meaning of fear. So, what's on the itinerary for today? Dr. Albert Wensley squinted at a neatly printed schedule made by his secretary. You have a meeting with the assistant researchers today at 10, a quarterly review of the status of all objects under your supervision, a meeting with Dr. Loof at 3, and an appointment with Dr. Owings at 5, Dr. Wensley. His secretary read off her itinerary. Here's your coffee. Thanks, Liz. I'm going to go and do some reviews then. Dr. Wensley sipped at his steaming mug as he strolled out of his office and down to the cell containing the most infamous occupant of Site-118, its resident Keter, SCP-2006. Well, might as well check on 2006 first. Shouldn't take too long, I think. The newbies can probably accompany me for the rest of the reviews, Dr. Wensley mused to himself. After flashing his security card at the camera, standing for a retina scan, validating a fingerprint scanner, and staring at a mimetic kill agent, Dr. Wensley patiently waited while the steel doors of SCP-2006's containment area whooshed open. Strolling into the room, he was greeted with salutations and acknowledgments from the various assistant researchers and other staff in the control room for SCP-2006. Waving a hand at the assorted rabble, he walked over to the surveillance array, where a young man sat, idly tapping his pencil while staring at the monitors. "Morning, Cam," Dr. Wensley said while placing a hand on the man's shoulders. The man jumped for a minute. He swiveled around and saw Dr. Wensley's friendly smile. Morning, Dr. Wensley. You startled me for a minute. How are you?" Assistant Researcher Cameron Hayworth asked. Good. How's 2006 doing this morning? What form is he in?" Wensley sipped at his mug while looking at the monitor. It's one of those slug monster things. Oh, I remember. 1964. The Creeping Terror. A young researcher replied. "Good work. I think I'll take a look at it today." Wensley set down his mug and walked over to the door of the hallway leading to SCP-2006's containment cell. "Watch the screens, Cam. Keter's a Keter." Dr. Wensley stood in front of the containment door and went through another round of safeguards, even stricter than the last. The doors whooshed open again, and he began to walk down the hallway. 2006 is always interesting to deal with, and at the very least it's good for a smile when you're out of the chamber, Wensley thought to himself. As he came before the last door that separated the containment chamber with the rest of the facility, he faced a small black box mounted on the wall of the last doors. Dr. Wensley, in a firm and even tone, spoke into the box. "Dr. Albert Wensley, Level 3 Departmental Director and Senior Researcher. The rats were in the souffle again. Full body scan and voice credentials accepted. Prepare for Keter entity chamber breach," a mechanical voice responded. The doors slid open silently. The chamber seemed empty, but Wensley knew better. As he strolled in and culled to his mind notes from his acting class, a slimy, hideous, dripping wet, and utterly ridiculous-looking slug monster rapidly slid into view.
"Your time has come, pathetic ape child. The creeping terror has arrived, and the horror of a race beyond your comprehension is ready to lay waste to your people. Doom is here, and it is the face of I."
"Oh no, please spare me. I'm just a puny mortal who wished to talk to SCP-2006. Please, no." Wensley cried out in mock fear as he fell to the ground, quivering.
The slug monster roared in laughter and flopped its tentacles around. "Oh, Doc, it's me. I'm not really the creeping terror. Did you like that one, Doc? I thought it was pretty good."
"Oh, SCP-2006. Boy, you really had me going for a bit. That was terrifying." No, I agree. It was quite good. Really scary."
"Thanks, Doc. I've been really working on it. You know, Doc, I was thinking about something."
"Oh, what's that?"
Boo!
Wensley jumped and made a show of stumbling. As he came back to his feet, SCP-2006 was laughing again.
But seriously, I was thinking about something for real.
Okay. What were you thinking about?
How to scare people the best. I'm always looking for more material, you know?
Oh, you're already the best at scaring people, SCP-2006. I don't think that I've ever seen scarier.
Really?
The slug monster looked like an expectant young child, yearning for approval from an older sibling. Really?
Thanks, Doc. You know, though, I think that really makes a statement about fear and its repercussions on the status of humanity, though, and what it truly means to be afraid.
Of course. Wensley did a double take. He had never heard sophisticated language from SCP-2006 before. What? He asked, slightly shocked.
Fear. What does it mean? If an individual is afraid of something, what does that mean? Do they think that it can harm it? What of a phobia? Is there something inherently harmful there? No. Then what is fear?
The previously friendly slug monster's voice had suddenly become slow and measured, with a deliberate pace. The bubbly, genial SCP-2006's previously excited tone now dripped with a slight mocking sound and rolled over Dr. Wensley's ears in an uncomfortable manner. Good one, SCP-2006. That's a really scary thought, Wensley replied, still somewhat taken aback.
Yes, is it not? Human mortals and their fear. Do you know what is truly terrifying, Doctor?
What?
The knowledge and realization of concepts that violate a sense of safety. Humans build their little thoughts in bubbles where they believe that they are safe. Even you and your foundation believe that you are safe because of your knowledge and your special containment procedures. Everything is based on safety and peace of mind.
The slug monster was still as it stared off into the containment chamber. Its words were spoken with a gravity and tone that contradicted everything Wensley knew about the anomaly. What are you saying?
What I am stating is that your mindset is predicated on the belief that you have successfully contained these SCP objects. Now consider this. You have many objects that are contained on the strength of your deception. What if this deception that your organization so prides itself on were not being upheld? What if the Foundation itself is the one being deceived?
A cold pit of fear formed in Wensley's stomach. He gulped slightly as he contemplated the implications. He suddenly felt very, very alone, locked in a chamber with SCP-2006. The slug monster, originally seeming so harmless, slowly swiveled its head around to look at Wensley and smiled.
Are you scared, Doctor?
Wensley began to back away.
I see that you're going. Have a good day, Doctor.
As Wensley opened the doors behind him, he never took his gaze off of SCP-2006 and its smile.
Oh, and Doctor? Boo!
Wensley fell backward in genuine fear as the doors opened. He quickly crawled out of the room, and the doors slammed behind him. As he rose to his feet, he heard SCP-2006 begin to laugh.
Oh, I do like that one.
Oh, that was really fun. Oh.
I like how it's like, it's a really good interpretation of what that end note of 2006 goes to.
Yes, absolutely. I always love when the Foundation gets the rug pulled out from under them just a little bit.
All right. Let's see. On the list. I've gotten a couple requests here. Let's see what 3231 looks like.
3231. Okay.
Ooh, a virulent info hazard. This will be fun.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Wait, what do you mean hide block? What? Huh?
Here, I'm still trying to get there. My keyboard's having troubles.
Oh,
come on.
That's okay. I'm having troubles or these aren't actually JavaScripts.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's... Oh, boy. Well, I just skimmed that, but okay, let's see how this goes. Oh, no.
Oh.
All right, so let's play this game. SCP-3231.
Okay.
Warning. The following file contains a virulent info hazard. Access by personnel without level 3 3231 clearance is strictly prohibited. Item number, SCP-3231. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. With the assistance of the Unusual Incidents Unit, the original record of SCP-3231 has been confiscated and all related records expunged from the local police department and FBI. Mobile Task Force Epsilon 23, codename Ellipses, is tasked with containing all outbreaks of SCP-3231 by any means necessary. Termination of affected individuals is authorized if amnestic treatment does not reduce symptoms within 12 hours. Related persons of interest, including the affected family, the perpetrator, and the victim, must be monitored at all times. Level 3 3231 security clearance is to be given only to Foundation personnel with a minimum Foundation standard mental resistance test score of 94, regardless of previous clearance. No other personnel are allowed access to this file. Description: SCP-3231 is the case file record of a child kidnapping, the details of which contain a virulent info hazard. Affected individuals believe that the kidnapping victim is still missing. Subjects persist in this belief even when offered physical evidence to the contrary, including insisting that evidence has been faked and denouncing the identity of the living victim. Subjects display a desire to relate details of the case to others. Most subjects need to be acquainted with approximately 30% of the case for the info hazard to take effect. However, certain individuals have been infected after learning only the barest details, necessitating extreme caution in the documentation of SCP-3231. The amount of detail known by a subject prior to infection is inversely proportional to the efficacy of amnestic treatment. Addendum 3231-01, Incident 3231 Alpha. A widespread outbreak of SCP-3231 occurred in September 1994, after the details of the redacted case were broadcast on a popular television show, Redacted. Over 9 million individuals across the United States were affected. Cleanup efforts lasted 6 months, though it is not known whether any affected individuals escaped notice, nor how many. It is not known how the show's producers obtained information about the case. Addendum 3231-2. Details of SCP-3231, Level 3 3231, or Level 3 3231 clearance eyes only. Warning: high likelihood of info-hazardous infection. On May 8, 1978, Deborah Valerie Baynard, age 5, disappeared while playing with herself in the front yard of Penfield Township, Ohio. While playing by herself, I'm so sorry. Playing by herself. After an extensive search, Baynard was found on August 15, 1978, alive and in the custody of Ian Joseph Anderson, 32, already suspected in another child kidnapping in Lorain County. Anderson was tried and found guilty of kidnapping and murder. The Foundation became involved during the FBI investigation when an agent with the Unusual Incidents Unit noted that the Baynard family insisted the returned victim was not Debbie. He had done something to her. No amount of assurance from officials could persuade the family the child had been found alive. The family and Anderson were amnestified after a Foundation interrogation, but that didn't bury the truth. To this day, they are not carriers of SCP-3231. Deborah Baynard was taken into Foundation custody in 1985 when she was reported as a runaway by her school. She claimed her parents were abusive, but it was just a family driving out the mockingbird planted in their midst. Why won't they give us our baby back? She has since joined the Foundation as E-Class personnel, but we can't hide her from the world, not forever. We know. And now it's time for everyone to know the pure, beautiful truth. It's time to bring our Debbie back to us. Hide block. Warning: database integrity error. Counter meme deployment unsuccessful. Security has been notified. Please remain at this terminal. Oh boy.
There's one more thing. If you highlight the empty block underneath the hide block, I am not who I am.
Oh. Oh, thank you for that, because I can't see things like that on mine. Oh, me, oh my.
Yes, there's some hidden text there.
Well, thank you, TL3s. That's not what I needed in my life.
Boy, that's a really unsettling one.
Ye and ha. Oh, that had good creepy. Thank you for that suggestion.
Yes, absolutely. That was really well written.
Okay. In our chat, currently watching 2 videos at the same time, but the audio seemed to mix over each other. Hopefully it's because they have 2 different YouTube videos and it's not a problem with our stream again. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, here's hoping.
No, but that article gets +1 from me tonight. Yeehaw.
For sure.
Let's keep running down the train. Da, 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 da. And so now I've got my list of ideas I had for the stream. I can take 2006 and its tail off because we did those. And now I think it's time for a specific Halloween one.
Ooh.
And so we have a tale that is apparently a spooky Halloween tale. And it's got a long name. So good luck Googling this one.
Okay.
It is... All right, don't select. It is Moon Champions Cinco de Mayo Extravaganza.
Moon Champions. Found it.
Now, all I know is this was suggested to me by the SCPD classified Discord server. Halloween tale. I have no idea what we're getting into here. I have not read this. So let me skim this real quick, see if we're having
love the unexpected
conversations. I see some conversations.
Yeah, it looks like some dialogue.
Okay. With that, the lunatic. Oh, boy, this is going to be fun. All right. A bright streak illuminated the darkening autumn sky over boring Oregon. Though the citizens were no strangers to the weird, a fiery projectile of destruction was definitely not normal to them. A kangaroo causing earthquakes? Sure. A singing and dancing bear? Yeah, of course. A sea serpent constructed of thousands of small fish? Must be Tuesday. But an astronaut hurling towards the suburbs at Mach 5 speeds? Now that was sure to wind up on the 11 o'clock news. Crash! The spacesuit landed face first in the local Little League soccer field, effectively turning the area into a mud pit sure to delight the local mud riders and endless disappointment to the boring Bears Soccer League. But this is not a story about mudders and some brats playing soccer. This is a story about a righteous defender of good values and his quest to celebrate Cinco de Mayo among the good people of Earth. A vaguely human figure rose in the center of the newly created mud field. It took a moment to violently shake off the filth which it had been bathed in, revealing a white spacesuit with a black visor. 2 small streams of flame erupted from its backpack, propelling him above the gunk and moving up and away to survey the area. The upward arc suddenly stopped as a threat was sighted a block away. Die, scum! Pay for your crimes! Within a second, an unassuming fire hydrant was cut down with a swift kick in the prime of its life. Your first mistake was crossing Moon Champion's path. High-pressure water erupted from the hole which used to be a Johnny pump, bathing Moon Champion and cleansing him of whatever mud remained on him. He basked in the blood of his enemy for a moment, admiring his reflection in the pool forming at his feet. It seemed he had arrived just in the nick of time, as what seemed to be 2 Earth children were rapidly approaching. Hold, children! Tread lightly, as the blood of this sandwich infects the ground surrounding me. There is no need to thank me, but I caution you to advance with haste, for one never knows when the sandwich menace will rise again. Its cold, twisted knobs and threatening red color. I shudder to think what would happen to you sweet, sweet Earth children should you be attacked. The youngster stared in confusion at the figure before them, before the taller of the 2 took hold of the other's hand. Come on, Lily.
Come on, Lily.
Continue, go ahead.
Mom said we shouldn't talk to strangers unless we were trick-or-treating. The young girl dressed in a pink tutu and tiara looked up at her uncostumed brother and nodded, following behind him. Sorry.
It's all good. Moon Champion looked on, watching the 2 carefully sidestep the ever-growing pool of sandwich blood he had spilled. Wait, children. I must inquire upon you. Where can one engage in the Cinco de Mayo festivities? I wish to partake in the culture of the earth. Fighting space villainy gets exhausting, and even I, Moon Champion, must take a break.
What's Cinco de Mayo?
The girl asked, turning to look at the strange, funny man behind them. Her older brother tried dragging her along, but her short legs and curiosity simply couldn't keep up with his pace. Their hands separated, and she slipped, dropping her jack-o'-lantern and spilling its contents onto the ground. Lily's face quickly flushed, and her eyes filled with tears as her brother quickly entered damage control mode.
Don't worry about it. Come on, don't cry. We can get you more candy.
He pleaded, trying to console his sibling and scooping up whatever candy was still salvageable into the orange bucket. Moon Champion looked on, disgusted at the grisly scene. Why were these children carrying the disembodied head of bulls and stuffing them with eggs? Or was this common Cinco de Mayo etiquette? It disgusted him. But he had come to participate in the festivities, not to judge. Maybe he could both help this ailing Earth citizen and participate at the same time? A moon light bulb switched on in the mighty hero's helmet. He'd had a genius idea. You there, Earth child. He pointed at the elder boy.
What? I need to be home soon and my little sister's crying. Go bother someone else.
Moon Champion took a step forward and leaned down, grabbing one of the girl's spilled candy. He took a moment to examine it before smashing the sealed package of M&Ms into his visor. Bits and pieces of crushed chocolate goodness and plastic wrappings were littered everywhere. Lily, who had stopped crying at this point, but was still quite sad, and her brother looked up in sheer confusion once again as the lunatic brought a gloved hand to where his chin would presumably be under the visor. I have reached the conclusion that your earth eggs are a prime delicacy, and this child is justified in her weeping. To lose these is a tragedy. I, Moon Champion, hereby vow to obtain more eggs for you, child. Tell me, how does one partake in the gathering of eggs in this bull's head? The elder sibling watched the strange astronaut pick up the jack-o'-lantern and examine it, pondering if this too would be met with this visor. Was he asking for advice on how to trick or treat? What kind of weirdo didn't know how to trick or treat? Either way, this might work out for him. He had to be home in 20 minutes with Lily, or he wouldn't be able to play video games for a week. But he couldn't go back empty-handed. He had to trust this guy, as weird as he was.
Well, first you need a costume.
A disguise? What tomfoolery! I am too honorable for such activities. I am a sworn knight of the moon.
Look, dude.
Apparently, this costume was a way of life for him. He picked up his sister's tiara off the sidewalk and offered it to the astronaut.
Put it on your head.
Moon Champion accepted the plastic crown, but was reluctant to don it. To do so would be an act of high treason on the moon, and he was no treasonist. But then again, he had come to Earth to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. But when in Sigma 5 doeth the Sigmarian Fivites? With hesitant hand, Moon Champion gently placed the tiara on the top of his visor. I feel gorgeous. Lily giggled, wiping a tear from her face. Her brother rolled his eyes.
Now all you need to do is go to some houses and knock on the door. Make sure you say trick or treat, too. And please hurry up. We already hit this whole neighborhood, so they're not going to give us candy again. And I have all my friends waiting for me on Fortnite, so please hurry.
He had been given his task. Collect eggs for the child. This would be an excellent opportunity to learn about the culture of Earth. Without a moment to hesitate, Moon Champion's jetpack ignited, and he quickly charged through the side of the house immediately to his right. Lily giggled merrily as her brother looked on in horror. The shrieks of panic and terror being met with a hearty, I demand treats, lest you be tricked. 5 minutes and 20 houses with spacesuit. 5 minutes and 20 houses with spacesuit-shaped holes in them later. Moon Champion approached his two little friends with a bull's head overflowing with eggs. He handed the young girl the bucket, who stared at it in awe.
This is more candy than I could ever eat.
Consuming raw eggs is ill-advised, Earthchild. The hero removed his tiara, gently placing it atop Lilith's head once more. Sirens became audible in the distance, and the elder of the two children became increasingly panicked.
We should go. Thank you, Guy. Bye.
Moon Champion put his hands at his waist, smiling underneath his helmet. Another day, another job well done. Plus, he had learned of the traditions of Earth. Who knew that the traditional response to trick or treat would be, "Get out of my house or I'm calling the police"? Not he. But now he was wiser and more culturally enriched. He watched the children scurry away before looking up to his home in the sky. It called to him, "Moon Champion, away!" And with that, the lunatic Cinco de Mayo came to a close as he soared to the moon above. Jesus.
That was just one of the wackiest ones I've read in a long time.
That was beyond fantastic. I am so pleased that exists.
That's wonderful.
I think I want more Moon Champion in my life.
God, yes.
Where do we find more Moon Champion?
I need Moon Champion canon, and I need it yesterday.
He is SCP-1233, it turns out. There was a link at the top of the story. But wait, I have to go and upvote that. And Katie informs me that the chat is now active, and I should talk to it. And I'm going to check out what the YouTube chat is saying. God. Hey, guys, I love Moon Champion. So do I love Moon Champion, yes. We have a hello, and what are you doing, by the way? That is a fantastic question. What are you doing, by the way? That's a really good question. So, welcome. What am I doing with my life? Thank you. Well, we are currently in shift 3. It is currently 4:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is a 24-hour charity live stream for the San Francisco LGBT Center. And in fact, thank you for mentioning that. I'm going to drop a link, even though there is one in the description. It's always good to have handy-dandy links in the chat. And so here's this. You can have that. And we are raising money for the San Francisco LGBT Center because they do good things to help the youths of the LGBT variety. And small places like them can always use more funds. And so we have read SCP since 12 a.m. my time, which is 4 hours and 48 minutes ago. And we are going to be doing this until midnight my time, approximately 19 hours from now, little more than 19 hours from now. So we have a long night ahead of us, but the Librarian of Sand, Sam, has graciously joined me for this shift. A lot of people are on the Get Vocal app where they can come join and read SCPs with us. If you want to join on Get Vocal, we're doing it shift by shift, and you can join in and read stories with us and be in this. Let me see. OC Fandom is asking about a link for a fanfic between God and Christ. Well, this is an SCP stream specifically, so if it's on the SCP wiki, we can read it. Them's the rules. This is SCP stuff. And so if it is an SCP thing, we can take a look at it, put that link in the chat, and I will pull it up when that happens. But in the meantime, while you're looking for that and verifying if it's SCP, I am going to get us started on our Righteous Defender of Good Values, SCP-1233. And I'm probably going to upvote that anyways, just because I love his tale. And so we're going to upvote that because I like it a lot. And in the meantime, oh, this one has the fancy upgraded documentation style of this new series. That is very nice looking. Oh my God. And in his document, as I'm skimming it just to see what we're doing, oh, that's a good conversation. Ooh, this is a good long one. We're gonna have fun with this.
Ooh.
Nice. If you don't mind, Sam, I'm gonna give you the documentation so you can read on that.
Totally. Happy to. Sure.
Oh, and that fanfic was just a joke, and good. Okay, just joke. Cool. I want to offer if it's real. I want to be nice to the chat if they have something that's
very
good.
Considerate.
Okay, so yes, I'm gonna give Sam SB1233, and I will be back to voice Moon Champion when he shows up.
Thank you.
Hit it, buddy.
Okay. SCP-1233. Level 3 Confidential. Containment Class Keter. Disruption Class Eki. Risk Class Danger. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1233's anomalous physical properties all but preclude the possibility of primary containment, and as such, secondary containment measures are considered adequate until a feasible method of physical containment is devised. Foundation's satellite observation network Argos is to enter Priority 2 High Alert status 3 years and 6 months following the last observed SCP-1233 departure event. When Argos detects SCP-1233 in the upper thermosphere, a contingent from any nearby covert amnesticization and disinformation mobile task force will be dispatched to the population center closest to the terminus of SCP-1233's descent trajectory. After the entity's departure from Earth orbit, all appearances of and damages caused by SCP-1233 are to be accounted for with a suitable cover story in conjunction with media blackout, and any civilians having witnessed an overt display of SCP-1233's anomalous effects are to be amnesticized at MTF discretion. Mass amnesticization of the affected city may be authorized in the event of unusually prolonged SCP-1233 appearances. Update, October 5th, 2017. Under no circumstances are Foundation personnel permitted to interact or engage SCP-1233 in any capacity. Description: SCP-1233 is a humanoid entity of unknown composition which visually resembles an individual wearing an EMU-type spacesuit with opaque visor and attached extravehicular propulsion jetpack. The equipment worn by SCP-1233 exhibits a number of anomalous properties. The suit itself has shown durability far exceeding that of a standard spacesuit. SCP-1233 has to date withstood small arms fire, anti-tank munitions, landmines, white phosphorus munitions, and in one instance, total submersion in magma without sustaining any observable danger or decrease in functionality. The suit material is also opaque to all attempted forms of penetrative scanning up to and including ultrasonic, radio, microwave, and X-ray emitters. The entity's jetpack, while ostensibly designed to be practical only in low-gravity orbital conditions and powered by compressed nitrogen, instead appears to utilize some form of anomalously high-powered rocket propulsion system. This device can sustainably generate thrust capable of rapidly accelerating the entity to a maximum observed velocity of approximately 40,500 kilometers per hour, and can alter SCP-1233's trajectory in any direction at speeds and rates of acceleration-deceleration that would be instantly fatal to any human. SCP-1233's physical strength is correspondingly anomalous. It has demonstrated the ability to lift and throw objects weighing up to 65,000 kilograms and can do so repeatedly without showing any external signs of fatigue, in defiance of multiple physical laws. SCP-1233 is capable of communicating through a loudspeaker installed in its suit and does so in a loud, somewhat grandiloquent and declamatory male voice, demonstrating fluency in a number of languages and adjusting its speech to conform with whatever language is most commonly spoken by the surrounding populace. Its statements are generally coherent in structure, but are frequently rambling, oblique, and irrelevant to the present situation or lacking discernible context. SCP-1233's behavior is erratic, unpredictable, gregarious, cordial, and somewhat destructive, though its appearances are typically brief and infrequent, with sightings occurring only once per 4 to 5 years. An SCP-1233 arrival event will begin with the entity falling from an unknown height above the Earth's surface, generally at a terminal velocity comparable to that of a small meteorite or atmospheric re-entry vehicle. SCP-1233 will exhibit red-orange thermal radiance typical of these objects as a result of atmospheric friction, and as such, SCP-1233 is commonly mistaken for a meteorite or shooting star during its descent. It will then crash land, causing a minor localized seismic event and a sizable impact crater. In almost all cases, SCP-1233 has landed a moderate distance away from the outer limits of a population center, usually a small to mid-sized town with a population not exceeding 30,000. It will then climb out of the crater and travel toward the nearby town either via flight or on foot. Its route to the population center is usually not direct. SCP-1233 will frequently stop to engage in various activities, seemingly at random. Examples of observed detour behaviors include inspecting various objects such as farm equipment, buildings, and plants, standing still for variable amounts of time, chasing small insects such as grasshoppers or butterflies, attempting to greet, converse with, or interrogate animals such as livestock and birds, pulling up root vegetables or picking fruit from bushes, trees, and pressing them forcefully into its closed visor in an apparent attempt to eat them, marching directly into bodies of water such as ponds and lakes, among others, normally not resulting in significant property damage. Upon reaching the town limits, SCP-1233 will engage in further activities which, due to its curiosity, appearance, extreme physical strength, and lack of understanding of human societal conventions, will generally result in civil unrest and destruction of public and private property. The following video transcript provides a typical example of SCP-1233 interaction with the local populace. Date: August 9th, 2009. Media origin: security camera footage confiscated from Sam's Sweets, a bakery and cafe located in downtown Saratoga Springs, New York, USA. SCP-1233 opens front door and enters cafe. Behind the counter is an overweight bearded man identified as Bob Parsons, 32, co-owner of the establishment. Parsons raises his eyebrow upon SCP-1233's entry. "Holy crap, dude. It's like 90 degrees out there. I get being dedicated to your cosplay and all that, but god damn." SCP-1233 approaches the register and salutes briefly.
Greetings, little girl. I am Moon Champion, champion of the moon, defender of space justice, and destroyer of evil. I have come once again to your charming world to learn more of your strange culture, and to seek aid for my people in their ongoing war against the moon monsters. You appear to possess a vast wealth of the fabled nutrients and moisture for which this world is known throughout the galaxy. Are you the president of this planet?
Pause. Parsons laughs uproariously for approximately a minute, then reaches into a display case below the counter while wiping tears from his eyes. Holy fuck, man. That's the funniest shit I've heard in like at least a year. What's up, Moon Champion? I'm Bob. You get a free cookie for making me bust a gut so hard I thought I was gonna puke up my own spine. Here. Parsons offers the cookie to SCP-1233. The entity takes it from the shopkeeper.
Ah, one of your human parakeets, I see. Yes, I, Moon Champion, accept this small bird on behalf of the moon, and solemnly pledge to use the energy it provides to advance the cause of righteousness.
SCP-1233 rams the cookie into its unopened visor. The impact instantly destroys the confection and forcibly scatters crumbs in all directions.
Delicious! I thank you, Lord President of Earth, for this generous gift. and may the light of justice forever shine upon your royal visage.
The baker laughs and begins eating a cookie of his own. Nah, it's cool, Moon Bro. I'll just clean that up later. Don't worry about it or anything. So there's monsters, huh? On the moon. And you fight them?
Your understanding of the situation is flawless, my lord. Yes, the dreaded moon monsters have plagued and besieged my people for countless millennia. They are very terrible. Merely attempting to describe them to you would cause your human organs to shrivel in horror. And it is my sacred duty as Moon Champion to meet these nightmarish beasts in combat and lead the Moon people in the defense of their imperiled homeland, the majestic and magnificent Moon Kingdom.
Parsons continues eating his cookie and nods. Oh, so you're like one of those alien dudes. They're king or something.
No, I'm not one of the Moon people. I am Moon Champion. I will continue to serve the Moon people and wage glorious war against their enemies until my debt to the Moon King is repaid. But the Moon Kingdom is a land of peace and enlightenment, the Moon people having abandoned the pettiness of violence and bloodshed eons ago. They are ill-prepared for the sudden advent of such a formidable foe, and the conflict goes poorly despite the valiant efforts of me, Moon Champion. And so I have come once more to Earth, our closest neighbor, to seek whatever assistance lies in your meaty, damp hearts.
Throughout this monologue, SCP-1233's right arm has risen into the air gradually until its hand is outstretched above its head. Parsons points to it. Do you, have a question?
Yes, several. To start, are these puppies you have capable of withstanding the vacuum of space without additional shielding? I would like to befriend one and name her Moon Pup and take her with me on space adventures.
Your arm, dude.
Ah, yes, it has become buoyant, an aspect of your mighty balloons. Another common side effect of your Earth atmosphere, similar to electricity and swarms of locusts. Either that, or there are laser beasts within this quadrant. I have studied the Earth quite extensively. Its phenomena are disgusting and incredible.
Huh.
Now, Lord President Mayor of Earth, will you answer the Moon King's call and assist us in our desperate battle against the Moon monsters? Time is of the essence. Time waits for no Moon Champion. I have asked it nicely. It did not listen.
Oh. So like, as you can see, Moon Dude, as president, I have, responsibilities. This, supply depot here is the only source of food for my people, and I've gotta, like, stay here. Otherwise, there'll be a famine. You know how it is. But I've ordered the citizens to lend a helping hand to anyone who asks, and, look, right outside, there's some. SCP-1233 turns to look out the glass door where there are passerby visible.
Yes, of course. You have been most voluptuous, my liege. Farewell, glorious and corpulent president. May you and your people remain moist and rubbery. Moon Champion blast off on wings of justice.
SCP-1233 salutes once more, turns about, and marches forward, crashing directly through a section of concrete wall less than 10 feet from the establishment entrance. Other observed behaviors have included wandering into traffic, which, due to its anomalous properties, has resulted in lethal conclusions, breaking through glass storefronts to handle or inspect wares on display, challenging a fire hydrant to single combat, which had been destroyed via punching, stealing and gathering unattended bicycles, forming a pile of hundreds in the center of a public park, stacking parked cars on top of one another, collecting as many dogs as possible, and attempting to use them as currency to purchase more dogs, and more. SCP-1233's exploits invariably result in the local authorities being summoned by the citizenry. However, attempts by police to impede, detain, or arrest SCP-1233 are entirely ineffective and are ignored by the entity in the majority of cases. To date, SCP-1233 has not caused overt and deliberate harm to any citizen, though casualties and fatalities have occurred as a result of its unpredictable behavior and physical properties. After spending a variable amount of time within a given municipality, SCP-1233 will abruptly activate its jetpack and ascend directly upward, reach an escape velocity and exit an Earth's atmosphere with greater speed than any non-anomalous vehicle on record. Ground-based and orbital telescope observation of recent SCP-1233 departures have shown that its general outbound trajectory is consistent during each event. SCP-1233 exits Earth orbit and maintains velocity while adjusting course directly toward the Moon. At its average speed of roughly 40,500 kilometers per hour, the entity enters lunar orbit within approximately 9 hours. It will overshoot slightly and adjust course, passing out of view and presumably either demanifesting somehow or landing on the far side of the Moon. None of SCP-1233's claims regarding the Moon have been successfully verified. Since SCP-1233's initial appearance on February 6, 1986, Foundation research divisions have maintained constant surveillance of the Moon in an attempt to acquire concrete proof of its statements. No evidence indicating the existence of a Moon Kingdom, Moon people, Moon monsters, or any other Moon-based extranormal objects or entities mentioned by the SCP-1233 has ever been found. Terrestrial research personnel have maintained continual contact with Lunar Area 32 Provisional Research Station supervisors concerning all aspects of SCP-1233 since its initial registry, hypothesizing that Area 32's powerful and comprehensive Sentinel array would be capable of confirming or refuting SCP-1233's allegations with ease. Not only have lunar base personnel consistently failed to uncover any indication that SCP-1233's assertions are authentic in any way, but no anomaly or object matching SCP-1233's description has ever been recorded by Sentinel's hundreds of detectors, despite the existence of a multitude of Earth-based telescopic video recordings which clearly show SCP-1233 entering the inner bounds of Sentinel's optimal sensor range and flying directly over Lunar Area 32. Lunar personnel were only made aware of the entity's existence in the SCP registry upon Terrestrial Command's request that they transmit all data concerning SCP-1233's first appearance to Earth for storage and analysis, 3 hours following the entity's disappearance. No such data existed. No definitive explanation for this observational discrepancy has been found. Addendum 1233-1. During SCP-1233's most recent arrival event on October 5, 2017, SCP-1233 addressed a male civilian in downtown Hereford, England. SCP-1233 approached Godsall and asked him if he would be willing to join the fight against the Moon monsters, as opposed to each observed iteration of this interaction thus far, in which the civilian petitioned by SCP-1233 either disregards the question or answers in the negative. Godsall sardonically replied, "Oh, absolutely, you fucking nutter. I'm ready to go right now. Got my toothbrush and everything. Let's fly, spaceman." SCP-1233 responded. Want me to take it?
Just had my mute on.
Okay.
SCP-1233 responded. At last, a brave warrior, hiding in plain sight amidst these pastoral and bucolic humans. Let us away, fair meat fellow, and earn the glory of the heroes. This day you brush your tooths among the stars. We fly!
The entity lurched forward and embraced Godsoul, then activated its jetpack. The resultant sonic boom shattered every item of glassware within a 300-meter radius as SCP-1233 accelerated to a projected velocity of 25,000 kilometers per hour within approximately 4 seconds, ascending into low orbit with Godsoul in tow. Due to the unexpected timing of this event, observational satellites were unable to properly focus upon SCP-1233 during the early stages of its exit trajectory. As such, Godsoul's presence and status were unable to be visually confirmed. After the amnesticization of all Hereford citizens witnessing this event, Godsoul was officially declared missing and pronounced dead 3 months later. The condition and whereabouts of his remains are currently unknown. Whew.
What a great guy.
Real swell fella. Got his heart in the right place.
Hey,
Oh man, I can't believe I've never heard of Moon Champion before today.
Same. Whew. That last half was a mouthful.
Yeah. Let's see. Last edited 71 days ago. When was Moon Champion in the world?
Wow.
hi.
Cadaver Commander. Oh, Uranian Empire is here.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello. Is my mic all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, we can hear you. Introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, I'm Uranium Empire. I'm an author on the SCP Wiki, staff member on community outreach, internet outreach, and forum critique. I wrote, probably best not to introduce myself by what I wrote. Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. Rura is very excited that you're here with us.
Do I just yeah, I was thinking well, okay, let me just introduce something. Love the work you're doing here.
Oh, thank you.
This kind of charity is, of course, near and dear to my heart as someone who is both bisexual and transgender. And of course, the activity, which, sorry that I'm going on so long.
Oh no, please do. This is very important
You have
stuff.
nothing to apologize for. Please.
And of course, the activity that's being used to support this charity, i.e., reading from the SCP Wiki, and especially things that, you know, maybe the offsite fandom might not know. As as an author, I really appreciate the fact that like people are getting this stuff out there.
I'm very I don't talk about myself very much on the channel. I just kind of do like the readings from behind my little green screen, but I only got into this wiki because I accidentally found a monster that was good for a D&D game. And I was reading for like 3 years before I ever got involved in the community, but like even before I was like doing these readings, I just kind of want to spread the wiki everywhere because more people need to know that the SCP wiki exists. There's so many stories kind of for like everybody. And so yeah, spread the SCP wiki, and then of course, like I'm so glad that we're doing this like charity live stream idea. It came to me like a week ago, and I can't believe we're actually doing it. And like we have 3 people who donated, which is more than 0 people donating. So that is good.
Hooray.
And Uranium dropped out, and hopefully Uranium comes back
sorry.
in.
I just had to switch to.
Hey, I heard you for a second there. I think you're back.
Sorry, I just had to switch to Firefox
Ow.
because for some reason Chrome does not like virtual cameras.
Yeah, sometimes we have to use.
Well, you also switched to a wonderful photo.
Yeah, that's my avatar on the wiki. I was actually thinking of reading Well, I said I was going to do some of the Broken God formats. Probably one of the Cadaver Commander skips. I'd considered reading some of my own stuff, but I thought, A, that's kind of self-congratulatory, and B, like, some of my stuff is pretty... I mean, I know we're doing a horror stream, but, like, Oh, 4999? I can do that.
Start with 4999. I've not read that one. Let me start looking for it. Da 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 da. Goodbye, Moon Champion. You were fun.
All right.
Ooh, people like this skip.
People love this one.
Oh, it's a shorty. Cool. Whenever you... Oh, yeah. Do you want to just be known as Uranium or Uranium Empire throughout the stream? Do you have a nickname that you'd like us to use?
I usually just go by Uranium Empire.
Cool. Your Uranium Empire Librarian of Sand is Sam, and I'm just Sherm.
Okay. All right. Item 4999, level 3 confidential, containment class, Keter, disruption class, Eki. I don't know how to pronounce that. Risk class, notice, special containment procedures. Due to SCP-4999's unwillingness or inability to appear before more than one person at a time, in addition to the subsequent and immediate death of anyone who witnesses it firsthand, SCP-4999 is effectively self-containing. Any reports of SCP-4999 manifestations captured by security camera feeds, photographs, or similar are to be investigated, and the media confiscated for analysis. All second-hand witnesses among the civilian populace are to be amnesticized. And there's a picture of SCP-4999, of a man in monochrome, dim lighting, smoking a cigarette. SCP-4999, circa 1973. Photo taken by professional photographer Gustav Berger 3 minutes before his death. Thanks to Pepper's Ghost, by the way, for shopping this image, if I remember correctly. Because I have a bad or hippo, I keep... Can I just do an aside for a second?
Absolutely.
There's always been like this thing where like I'll occasionally like back in 2013 I joked about like I would group like users into twos and just sort of like associate one with the other. All right, back to the description. SCP-4999 is a humanoid entity of unknown composition, visually resembling a middle-aged male. Its physical appearance varies, with its dark suit being the only constant between manifestations. Due to the rarity of recorded SCP-4999 manifestation events and the highly specific circumstances in which they occur, little data concerning its nature or intent is available. However, its behavior is consistent across all recorded sightings. SCP-4999 will manifest only in the presence of one solitary human person at a time. All subjects recorded to date have been in terminally poor health, critically injured, or on their deathbeds, with SCP-4999 appearing nearby and within sight of the individual not more than 20 minutes before their expiration. SCP-4999 will only appear if the subject is conscious and alone. It will not appear if the subject is comatose, asleep, or unconscious. Nor will it appear if they are being cared for by, in the company of, or otherwise being directly observed by another person. Upon manifestation, the entity will seat itself directly adjacent to the subject's bed, if such furniture is available. If not, it will remain standing or sit on the floor/ground in whatever configuration will allow it direct physical access to the subject without causing disturbance. Once situated, it will remove a pack of cigarettes from its left inside jacket pocket and offer one to the subject. If the subject accepts, SCP-4999 will place it between their lips, remove one for itself, and light both. Subject declines, SCP-4999 will light and smoke the cigarette instead. The entity will make physical contact with the subject, typically holding their hand, placing its hand atop theirs, or resting its hand on their shoulders. SCP-4999 will remain with the subject, silent and unmoving, until they have passed away. SCP-4999 has not been seen to engage in any other activity or behavior, and demanifests immediately upon the subject's death. The subject's cigarette, however, will remain, providing the only physical evidence of SCP-4999's presence. No subject thus far has been seen to recoil from or otherwise resist the entity, nor have any attempted to engage in it in conversation, despite multiple instances of subjects acknowledging the entity's presence via eye contact, adjusting posture to reciprocate or facilitate the entity's touch, breaking into tears when noticing its presence, or verbally thanking the entity when offered a cigarette. Individuals affected by SCP-4999 share a number of common attributes. Research into identified subjects has indicated that SCP-4999 is more likely to appear if an individual lives alone, is non-religious, is impoverished or homeless, displays a history of mental illness, is a military veteran, has no criminal record, or has never been convicted of a violent crime, has no currently surviving family, is unmarried or otherwise lacks a significant other, has little to no social standing in their community, does not exhibit any record of significant professional or personal accomplishments, has few to no mutually beneficial interpersonal relationships, or exhibits qualities and life histories that have rendered the individual nondescript, anonymous, neglected, or otherwise unremarkable or insignificant by the standards of their respective society. No testing involving SCP-4999 has been authorized or attempted, due to the available data indicating that observation of a subject precludes its manifestation, as well as ethical concerns. Discovery. SCP-4999 was initially discovered as the result of its emerging status as an urban legend, with footage of the entity appearing on hospital security cameras worldwide being disseminated via the internet and various television programs. A minor disinformation program was put into effect to maintain this public image, and SCP-4999 was officially registered on November 27, 1998. In the years following SCP-4999's classification, additional research and cross-referencing with accounts of similar phenomena has suggested that while concrete evidence of SCP-4999's appearances has become more commonplace due to the advent of photography and video recording technology in the modern era, writings and artistic depictions of a figure exhibiting similar properties, behavior, and physical resemblance to SCP-4999 exist throughout world history, culture, and mythology, with some accounts being thousands of years old, in some cases predating human civilization. It is not currently understood how pre-modern cultures would have been capable of detecting SCP-4999's presence. Investigation is ongoing.
That's dope.
Thank you so much for reading that one.
No problem. Cadaver is just... I remember Cadaver once saying, he once said, all of his articles are basically just John Dilworth homages. And John Dilworth did a lot of good work on Courage the Cowardly Dog. A lot of,
Yeah.
amazing stuff. But I think this captures, the sort of tenderness, inherent to, the show and times, I'm guessing
There's all the slapstick, there's all the comedy, but there's always that little sweet moment that's just like, oh, yeah, that feels good.
That recognition of humanity.
Yeah.
That was a great story, and that was a good read. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And by the way, you mentioned not wanting to read your own stories because it might be self-congratulatory, but you are an author who came to visit our stream, and that makes me very happy. If you want me to read one of yours, I was going to do that for authors who visited even the chat. So, like, I will totally read your stories. Like, let's hit your author page, yo.
All right, let's check my author page.
I'll read whatever one of your articles you want.
If I had to like quantify like my author page, like the things I write, I think I started like really hitting my. I wouldn't. I think I write a combination of just horrifying worms and black comedy, I guess.
That's the best combination.
Well, in the spirit of collaboration, let's read my CollabCon entry, Maddox and the Mechanite, which I wrote with the wonderful creator of Sarcasm, Metaphysician.
Yay, meta. Let's see. Which where would I find that?
It's should I link it in chat
or just what's the it's not an SCP, right? It's a something else.
Yeah, it's a tale.
Yeah, if you just like tell me enough to Google it. Say it one more time.
Maddox and the Mechanite.
How do you spell that first word?
Nadox.
And the Mechanite. Cool, that should do it. Maddox and the Mechanite. Lovely. And we're loaded. Ooh, that's a pretty picture.
Yeah, thanks to Peralka L.
Peralka L, I'm going to show your art off right now because that's real pretty. Let me put that on screen. Maddox and the Mechanite. Wow.
It's great work.
It's real pretty. Let's get that reflection. There we go. You can see it better. Be real better if I could like share screen and just put that on there. I think I can do that. I'll figure that out while we read this. In the meantime, oh boy, this is going to be fun. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right. The sun rose, and Maddox wandered. Where to? Where from? In the Davites, it was a question of importance. A question begged by the still aching wounds left by the bloodied basalt, then begged by his duty to Ion, now begged by its own answers. Sometimes, Maddox wondered if it was still a question worth asking. When? Why? What? How? All seemed a tad more important. It mattered not. Libraries rose and fell with the seasons. Ignorance and knowledge swelled in equal measure. Patterns formed and pointed to the same mysterious ends. All of it, too slow beneath the Maddox's feet, too fast for the pit of dread in his innards. Books only said so much. Knowledge dripped into a canyon as mountains bled. But the landscape changed with time, and Maddox had time. The sun set, and Maddox wandered. Enlightenment, apotheosis, near immortality. If such was the apex of being, an immortal drifter yet shackled to his own mutilated form, Maddox pitied the men around him. There were times when he longed to collapse into a ball and scream, stopping the world for the scant few seconds luck would allow him before existence continued, before the heel of an Archon inevitably crushed him against the dirt. To crawl into the darkest available corner and lie still for as long as he was allowed. Maddox was not proud of such times, nor their increasing frequency following Ion's disappearance. Foraging, drinking, sleeping, such were liabilities, discarded on the path to apotheosis, base needs cruelly instituted by the gods on the lesser folk. Physically, Maddox walked without them. Spiritually, some distant fragments of the sufferer he once was looked jealously at the rare life around him. Did he miss the taste of meat, the chill of drink, the serenity of dreams? Or did he miss the hunt, the work one puts into living from day to day? Perhaps he missed his humanity. Perhaps he was still human. The all-seeing saw all, every theory and every bit of evidence and every bit of contradiction. Extra veins pumping blood back into missing hearts, where arteries that fit perfectly wait patiently to nourish 1,000 organs each. Naddox's feet ached. He hadn't even been using them. Telescopic eyes observed Naddox from afar, forming the unspoken bond between predator and prey. Naddox was not caught unaware. Indeed, it was impossible for him to be anything but mindful. He heard the turning of gears, vented steam, the monotonous invocation of a broken god. Naddox slowed pace, steadily closing the gap between himself and his stalker without drawing suspicion. Closer, closer. The sound of a sword unsheathed, of accelerating cogwork, and an engine burned with singular purpose. Curious, Naddox allowed his prospective assassin the first strike. The blade penetrated through his spine and bent his body to face the emerging stars. They would be rather beautiful that night. Die, Sarkite! The Mechanite's shout was tiny, echoed on itself. His transfiguration was incomplete. By the infinite designs of Mechane, you will be purged! Naddox's sewn-shut lips nearly curled into a smile. It had been at least 2 millennia since he last experienced impalement. From the moment Naddox sensed his stalker, it was clear he had mistaken him for a lesser shepherd of the flesh. Naddox endeavored to elucidate his attacker on the severity of his error. Unstable flesh poured from the wound, a writhing mass far larger than his taut skin appeared capable of containing. Bones fractured and reconfigured themselves in support of new limbs. Sinewy tendrils tore away from his former husk like an insect post-metamorphosis. 100 fists took shape, whose fingers unfurled like a lotus in bloom to reveal 100 unblinking eyes. He rose into the air, alive, exalted in the truth of his ascendant form. Most would flee in terror or fall to their knees in worship. Flee in horror or fall to their knees in worship. Naddox had already foreseen that this man was different. Undeterred by the display, the brazen warrior pulled his blade from the undulating vessel and continued his fight. An amused curiosity stayed 100 hands of flesh, enabling those of bronze. The Mechanite tore, slashing and piercing in Naddox's rippling flesh, only to reveal yet more flesh. The fruits of his harvest reintegrated with Naddox, far too quick for his adversary's blade, yet curiously, he fought. But the Mechanite's mind drifted towards his deific armaments, and Naddox decided he was done observing. The first strike sabotaged the second, throwing the Mechanite across the dunes. Regaining bearings left him only enough time to dodge Naddox's 100-handed charge. Naddox's next strike, a lazy backhand, split against his opponent's parry. The Mechanite's buy for time as his armament charged. Now on the defensive, the Mechanite jumped back, too close to charge yet too far to reach. He was stalling. Naddox would have known that even without the panic running off his mind. The Mechanite ran, and a rolling mass of flesh followed. It mattered not. Naddox was faster, no matter the Mechanite's head start. Navigating the same dunes gave the far larger Naddox superior traction, superior navigation, and, as Naddox realized far too late, inferior turning. The Mechanite threw himself to the side, using his momentum to resume his retreat perpendicular to Naddox's trajectory. In the rush, Naddox misjudged his own movements, running a wide circle intersecting with the Mechanite too early, an eccentricity that brought him further and further off the mark. But, regardless, the dizzying orbit had encircled his foe. Naddox pulled in, spiraling steadily towards the Mechanite. Regardless, the precision required left time for the Mechanite to plan, to avoid his trample and buy more time. As such, Naddox grounded himself to a sudden stop moments before he anticipated the Mechanite's escape, rooted by a dozen hands, one of which came up to snatch his opponent from beneath the sands. Again, Naddox had botched the timing. He had not traditionally needed to count in moments, supposed. The Mechanite slipped from his fingers, his base instinct searching for balance on his knuckles. He had a choice: drop or remain still. It ultimately mattered little. The Mechanite jumped back, right into a swift clap. Time froze for Natix. Natix studied the mechanite's angle, the mechanite's form, the mechanite's trajectory, viscous in the desert air, flowing as pitch across the tongue. He studied the plates of his face, contorted in a desperate grimace. In frozen time, Natix rolled the compound images through his mind, putting story to them. And only too late did he begin to study the armament pointed at his center of mass. Pain. Searing pain. A pained wheeze escaped from Natix's running maws, fruitlessly tearing at the stitches that bound them. Melted flesh poured down his body, still sizzling with heat. The force had driven him back, and with every minute moment more flesh sloughed off, staining the sand in red and whites and browns. Natix's body screamed at itself. It screamed that Natix was going to die over and over, over and over, over and over and over, that even though he knew he would survive, that he might as well have died. Natix retreated beneath the sands and waited. The cool sands beneath the surface gave time for him to think, time to plan. Whatever his body said was wrong. Natix would live another day. But it was a thought that failed to ease his burnt and irritated flesh. Emasculation, suture, forced muteness. Such aches Natix had grown to ignore. Deific fire was another matter entirely, and would remain one however long Natix took to regenerate. The mechanite was a distraction, a waste of time courtesy of the Archons. He had to die. Tendrils of flesh dug into Natix's surroundings, feeling for movements from above as the all-seeing eyes probed the minds of the life above. The sudden shift in perspective sabotaged immediate comprehension, further hindered by freshly burnt skin. A scorpion desperate not to be crushed. A bewildered serpent looking for food. A shrub nearly dead. Mechanite. Myriad mounds of sand, each of which might or may not have been Natix. Sand shifted, and so did the mechanite. Animals burrowed and ran. Natix felt such things above him, even as the pain obfuscated what stood above where. Clarity building. Now. Natix emerged from the sand beneath the mechanite, swallowing him in a tangle of arms, tendrils, and sharpened bone. He paid no mind to the mechanite's resistance. Such struggle was futile, wrapped in a cocoon of enveloping flesh. The mechanite's brain was human, intact, a contrast to the cages and wires of beryl bronze that connected it to its metallic form. A round peg of flesh in a bronzen square hole, one Natix would be removing soon enough. Natix would not have been able to explain why he peeked into the mechanite's psyche. Peering from behind the folds of the mechanite's brain was a man named Dedicus. Dedecius, thank you. Peering from behind the folds of the mechanite's brain was a man named Dedecius. Dedecius was a legate faithful to McCain. He had been awake for 3.5 fortnights prior, stalking Natix from shadows cast behind the dunes, behind shrubs and rocks and trees. Curiosity paved the pathways of memory, a desire to meet a fellow wanderer, betrayal to find him an agent of the flesh. Dedecius longed for a better, more rational world, under the guidance of McCain. He longed for order, security, apotheosis, to end the reign of the flesh, of Yaldabaoth and Scarlet Kings, and that which made holes in the shapes of worms. Natix paused. Dedecius felt terrified, betrayed. In seeking companionship, he had confronted a Sarkite, a living legacy of the flesh's corruption. What should have been a routine cleanse ended in its jaws, trapped in a cage of certain death. Not even the holy armaments of McCain could save him. Dedecius was going to die. Dedecius did not want to die. Natix uncurled, splitting the mechanite, no, Derdekius, out of his person. 5 times the sun set. 5 times the sun rose. Derdekius was clever. He was strong. He was durable. He was deadly with blade and flame. He was tenacious and quick and fanatical. And yet, most importantly, he was human. Over the course of 6 days and 5 nights, Derdekius engaged in continuous assault against Natix. Scorched glass, broken dunes, rivers of Natix's blood, all marked the various assaults, engagements, one-man tactics and formations that outlined their protracted battle. Derdekius fought with the ferocity of an army and the courage of a badger, a ferocity that waned with time while courage waxed. On, most probably, the hour of noon on the 6th day, Derdekius took the 4th step of a charge, missed his footing, and let himself fall supine over the sands. The fire that had sustained his charge had diminished, retreating to his eyes. He could do naught but stare at Natix. In his head, he lied to himself, told himself he wasn't afraid to die at the hands of a, quote, worthy, end quote, servant of the flesh. Natix simply stared back. Slowly, steadily he reformed. Bones snapped and viscera tore, compressing themselves into the impossibly small shape of a traveler. The shadow over the desert retracted to that of an average man. Derdekius laughed, and then he was unconscious. Derdekius awoke 3 hours later to Natix. Natix admittedly hadn't been paying too much mind. His attention had been focused on several scrolls he'd bought at the last town over. The blade shoved through his head was almost quaint, really. You're awake. The flesh in Natix's head contracted, gently spitting the blade out. I trust you slept well. Natix blocked the next punch with his free hand. Get out of my mind, Sarkite. Derdekius kicked at his side with half-hearted investment. It mattered not. His will to fight had outlived his will to kill for the moment. Apologies. I can't. The scroll was almost useless. Natix would want to sell it in the next town once he finished taking notes. I have no tongue. Derdekius merely snarled, kneeling down to look over Natix's shoulder. You speak my tongue, but your script. You are Davite. By birth, not by choice. You. Derdekius quickly stood up, catching himself as he nearly yelled in frustration. His next attempt to speak ended with a yell he failed to suppress. Derdekius' next words came only after a few minutes more pacing. Enough! Who are you? Well, enough was enough. Natix packed his research material back into its appropriate bag and stood back up. Clavigar Natix, the all-seeing. If you'll excuse me. Natix began to walk away. Natix had not gone but a single step before the mechanite attacked once more, with words rather than armaments. Clavigar, I am not done. Derdekius ran with the limited grace expected of desert-focused augmentation. If Natix wanted, he could have reminded him just how useless that was in comparison to apotheosis. Where are you going? To what ends? Natix remained silent. Even without a tongue, what was there to say? Surely the all-seeing sees all. What's left to see? Backwards, Derdekius kept pace. Natix's own pace enabled such mobile interrogation. I've seen you. You revise nothing, write nothing, say nothing. You watch, but the flesh is not simple. Therefore, to what end? The sand beneath Natix ran hot, a sensation growing stronger as he stopped. Research. I am researching. Even as Natix stood still, Derdekius moved, paced a circle around him like a hound, never touching sand long enough to burn. Maddox felt his mind, easily as restless as his feet, racing between confusion and desperation, hidden behind a thin veneer of dogged curiosity, thinner than the plates of his skull. Ha! Researching, says the all-seeing eye. Are you missing a piece of the puzzle? Perhaps it was folly to have spared Decius. If so, it was sustained. A mistake days in the making, a flaw in his understanding of Ion's words. Momentary anger otherwise? The sand burnt. All right, I think you know. Decius stopped, miming a smug superiority he didn't really feel, before pacing again. You have the piece, but, you fitted the puzzle incorrectly. Maddox continued on, only half out of duty and half out of courtesy to Decius's near-melted feet. You've seen the signs. There's something beyond the flesh, salvation outside of it. The sand beneath Nat was less granular than before. Some part of him wished for an outcrop, an escape from the heat. But machinery is a trapping of godliness, capitulation to a higher power than yourself or Ion. Maddox stopped. You think you've conquered flesh, but Decius held up a finger. Flesh has conquered you. You wallow in it, wrap yourself in its excess like an archon, and Maddox blinked and found himself pointing a barb of sharpened bone at Decius's throat. Through Decius's mind's eye, Maddox saw instead what appeared to him to be a Davite priestess, wielding a blade of crimson-stained basalt. Maddox's armament fell to the side, and Maddox walked as fast as he could. Maddox needed not heat nor rest, nor much of anything gained by curling up against a fire under a rare outcropping of stone. And yet here he was. The heat would not last, an ironic development, starkly illuminated by the cold of the desert. Too little a shrub in sight to fuel the flames, and Maddox was not certain he'd be willing to offer up fat to such temporary and superfluous cause. Maddox was going to live, whether everything else did or didn't. He closed his eyes. Hello again. Maddox's physical eyes remained closed. For a scant eternity, only Decius's soft clicking broke the thin silence of night wind and crackling fire. Maddox remained where he was, curled like a fetus against the fire. I apologize. I should not have threatened you. Decius's mind raced, even as Maddox restrained himself from looking too far inside, lest he rediscover the memory. I suppose I... Over the wind but under the fire, Maddox could hear the soft ruffling of Decius's travel cloak as he sat. I'm sorry, there was no need to antagonize you, as I did. You don't need to apologize, Legat. There was a genuine sorrow in the back of Decius's mind, a genuine atom of intoxicatingly rare compassion, hidden among the confusion. You didn't know. I suppose I don't. The two sat very still until daybreak swept the fire's last embers to the winds. For the next few days, Decius was silent, his mind withdrawn. Maddox tried not to pry, but it was as asking one not to stare at the moon as they watched the skies. Decius' thoughts were a poisoned oasis in a desert of nothing. Maddox walked, and Decius trailed behind. His faceplate, near expressionless in its make, barely cast gaze high enough to follow the movements of Maddox's robes. Decius made little noise, but for the listless grinding of moving parts. Maddox had spared him, and he walked as a dead man regardless. The roads. Maddox had somehow lost track of them. Several more days of wandering, Decius said little. Affirmations and negations to questions of need. Half-hearted advice on which the horizon to walk. Soft-spoken mechanite prayers that gradually lost meaning. He barely kept pace, hardly kept track. When the two finally arrived at the next town, Maddox had expected Decius to look happier, had expected a change of scenery begetting a change in attitude, and yet Decius simply looked listlessly at the ground, now paved and heavy trodden, a melancholy passenger to Natix's Odyssey. The same passage. Natix had just read the same passage. The small building that passed for this town's library was empty, save for Natix and Derdekius. Its denizens took their business outside the walls, quietly or otherwise insulated from Natix's study. Derdekius sat in a far corner, moving little and speaking less. Ultimately, it left Natix with the perfect environment for study, an opportunity that, try as he might, Natix ultimately squandered on the same passage. Derdekius. He had changed something. A misplaced step in the process of research. Or was it dynamic as a whole? Natix closed his eyes. He thought of Ion, his merciful gaze, his soft-spoken confessions, and his rhetoric of torn flesh and rebirth and viscera, of the half-dead wasteland where they last spoke. Natix thought of his perfect, beautiful form, and of the hideous, nascent Archon that gestated within, of how Clavigar, lost without the guidance of the perfect surgeon, had scattered to the wind, of the final question left behind. His mind wandered to his travels, of the gradual decay of his surroundings, of hungry cicadas, screaming clouds of violet vibrations, and a myriad of their vicious peers. He thought of what he saw in folds of Derdekius' psyche, the passion, the need for change, the common enemy. Derdekius. Natix was answered with tinny grind. Natix was answered with the tinny grind of metal. Care to join me? Derdekius stood, already a significant improvement in his situation. What do you mean? In research. There was no easy way to covertly vomit the collection of documents Natix kept in his person, at least in company. Still, Derdekius had seen more than his share of Natix's insides, leaving comparatively little shock to be had. Derdekius approached with caution, a caution Natix thought inappropriate given the past several weeks, but nonetheless a caution. At some invisible precipice between himself and the table, Derdekius stopped. The air was still, the wind calm. You'll forgive me for my caution. Dying sunlight reflected off the fire in Derdekius' eyes. I already do. The dusk passed with stories of the old gods and those who lived beneath them. The sun rose, and Derdekius followed Natix. I recognize that. Natix continued his craft, though his mind's eye looked up, a simple hinged joint. Derdekius' face had been replaced with bronze, without the necessary muscles to squint, even though Natix could feel the muscle memory of the flesh that was once attempting to do just that. Right, but the structure as a whole. I recognize the structure, how you've built the arm. My own innards appear nearly identical. A pause. Natix examined his own handiwork, comparing it with the internal anatomy of Derdekius. Natix continued. Derdekius crouched to face their patient. How do you feel? The little shepherd boy felt many things, or at least Natix felt many things through the shepherd boy's thoughts. Bewilderment at his brand new arm, fear that either of them may demand an unspoken price that could not be paid, gratefulness despite the circumstances, all bled into apprehension, what to do now that his limbs were whole again. As his mind turned to the thought of repayment, Natix turned and walked away. The sun set, and Derdekius walked with Natix. The book, predictably, was written in a different tongue to that last library, days away. Not that it mattered. Language was a barrier Ion had thrust Natix over long ago. From the thoughts bubbling on the surface of his companion's mind, Derdekius was not quite so fortunate. Natix took note of the signs, the histories, the pieces of possible solutions, compiling every scrap into a written record, a library in miniature, a personal schema against the icons. That it was in Derdekius' tongue was the convenience. That was what Natix told himself, even as the muscles of his digits struggled to adapt to the new alphabet. As Natix researched, recorded, reviewed, Derdekius read, and tried to read. There was a limit to his comprehension, a language barrier he could not cross. Frustration radiated from his mind, tainted with disappointment. Natix closed his eyes, all of them, but the ones needed for the task at hand. Minutes passed. Hours. He had been reading a scroll on ancient rites, dedications to crowned cicadas, and holes in the shapes of worms, when Derdekis collapsed onto the seat beside him. Nothing. I've learned nothing. I cannot read this script. I'm sorry. Right. Derdekis simply stared at the table upon which Nadix read. It's been several fortnights. An hour of rest? Dawn would be soon, if Nadix had to guess. Best now. Do what you need. Derdekis leaned against Nadix and let himself dream. His chassis was warm. A moment. We're going to take a break at this moment. We are running into the end of this shift. Shift 2 will stop recording in approximately 5 minutes. And so we're going to take a 5-minute break from this story, hang out for a second in chat, catch up with where we are, and then we will get back to it starting on shift. So Uranium Empire, how are you enjoying the reading so far?
Pretty good. It's always like really validating to see someone read your work. Humans especially. I think funny thing is I have like 2 readings of my first SCP, that being 1285, something I wrote like 6 years ago. And I also have like 3 readings done by like text to voice speech, one of 4747, which apparently the Japanese branch loves enough to make fan art of, and 3721, which is a bit complicated for a robot reading, but I guess it's appropriate. And yeah, 4747 again. That one's popular for readings, I guess, because it's pretty short.
Cool. What are there, since this has still got about at least a 5th left, any notes, anything about the voices that I can like do with? I had a little trouble delineating in the beginning who was talking, so that's why they kind of sound the same right now. Voice actor problems.
I always assumed Nanox, while writing him, I always assumed like he had like a kind of like soft, I don't want to say monotone, but fairly sedate voice. Meanwhile, Derdekis is kind of, I always imagined him as kind of not necessarily gruff, but more like he's a soldier, of course.
Sure. I'll see if I can play with that a little bit in the ending. And by the way, we have a 4th donator. Yay, we had someone donate some money to the San Francisco LGBT Center, so we're making our way downtown. Faces pass. Walking past, and I'm homebound.
Your GoFundMe links do work in the comments. It's a place to other YouTube channels.
Ah, okay. GoFundMe links work in the comments, but YouTube links don't. Good to know. We're learning things. And I know that he gone a while ago because this was a long read, but thank you, Librarian of Sand, sent Sam again, because it was very nice to have you on to read. His note for the chat is, I don't want to interrupt this wonderful reading, but I have to go walk my dog and then probably go crash for at least a couple hours. Honored to be on the stream. Thank you for having me. Wish I could stay to hear the end of the tale. Try to come back to the stream tonight and come on for some more. Love to have you back. And don't forget to donate, he says. So please don't forget to donate. What is going to happen now and hi, Randoms Jake. I'm glad you showed up during this. What's going on now is we are going to move. Those of us in the Get Vocal are going to leave this chat, which is shift number 3. And we're going to move to shift number 4 and then start the broadcast over. Everybody on YouTube, you will be able to start from the new live stream on YouTube, because this one will stop and the new one will start. And so we are going to adjourn and start up again in 2 minutes. Correct. YouTube will not automatically move you to a new video. So you guys watching on YouTube have to go to the new video. I know it's inconvenient for like skipping from stream to stream, but it is really nice that we're able to have everybody else voice things. I like this for like the live stream, having Uranium Empire and Randoms Jake and everybody be able to read. Okay, I'm going to stop because it's going to stop recording me. See you in the next stream.